She said the baby was asleep. Her voice was warm, practiced, like honey laced with arsenic. I was halfway to the crib when I saw her out the window, arms extended, passing my granddaughter to a stranger's hands. I froze. The ache that bloomed in my chest wasn't just heartbreak, it was a knowing. The kind of knowing that comes too late. Everything fell into place. The closed doors, the whispering, the way they'd all started speaking softer around me, like I was fragile glass. I wasn't fragile. I was invisible. My name is Margaret Dorsey. I'm 78 years old, and I raised 3 children mostly on my own. I survived a husband who loved his whiskey more than us, and a job cleaning motel rooms that barely covered school lunches. But I kept going because I believed in family. I believed in tomorrow. But nothing prepared me for the kind of betrayal that comes wrapped in the arms of your own child. Her name is Elise, my only daughter, my sunshine girl. Smart, ambitious, determined, all the things I hoped she'd be. She was the one who made it out of the small town, out of the poverty, into something bigger. A nurse practitioner now, married a software engineer, built a life in a house with 4 bedrooms and a white fence. And when she called to say she was pregnant, I cried. Not from sadness, from joy, from the hope that I would get to be the kind of grandmother I never had, present, loving, involved. Come live with us for a while after the baby's born, she said. We could use your help. I packed my life into 4 cardboard boxes and 2 suitcases. Sold my car, kissed my friends goodbye. I told myself it was a fresh chapter, a gift. But from the moment I arrived, things didn't feel right. At first, it was small. Elise seemed tired, understandable. Newborns are exhausting. But she started disappearing into her room for hours, saying she needed sleep or mental rest. I understood. I stayed quiet, took care of the dishes, did the laundry, made myself useful. Then the rule started. Don't pick her up unless we ask you to. She needs to bond with us first. No perfumes or lotions. The baby's skin is sensitive. She's too young to be overstimulated. Please don't talk to her too much right now. I nodded, bit my tongue. I told myself it was just modern parenting. I didn't want to step on her toes. But the rules weren't the worst part. It was the way Elise looked through me, as if I were a guest, a burden. Some days, she wouldn't even say good morning. Other days, she'd correct everything I did. You're folding the burp cloths wrong. You didn't wash your hands again. You can't leave the pacifier on the couch like that. It's not sanitary. Each word chipped away at me. Still, I stayed. Because of the baby. Her name was Lily. 8 pounds of new life. Her tiny fingers curled around mine like we were already connected. But they barely let me hold her. She's sleeping, Elise would say, ushering me away. She's feeding. She just fell asleep, maybe later. Later never came. Until that day in the living room, when Elise told me, "You'll hold the baby tomorrow, she's sleeping," and I smiled, like a fool. I said, "Of course, sweetheart." Then I saw her. Through the gauzy curtains, in the driveway, Lily in her arms. She was speaking to a man in a dark SUV. I saw him take the baby. I saw the car drive away. And I stood there, silent, my hands trembling, breath caught somewhere between my throat and my ribs. That night, I didn't eat. Elise acted as if nothing had happened. She asked me how my walk had been. I nodded. "Lovely," I said. She smiled. "Glad you're getting some air." The next day, Lily was gone. "She's staying with Eric's sister for a few days," Elise said. We needed a break. No apology. No explanation. Just gone. And that's when I knew. I wasn't here to help. I was here to be managed. Kept quiet. Placed in the corner like a family heirloom no one wants to throw out, but doesn't quite know what to do with. The walls of that house closed in around me, every day smaller than the last. I tried to ask questions. When is Lily coming back? Are you okay, honey? Is something going on I should know? Each time, I was met with that same sweet but firm tone. We're fine. Please don't worry so much. But I wasn't imagining the way the mail started coming in addressed to me, but with someone else's handwriting. Or how my prescriptions were suddenly being managed by Elise. I asked her once, gently, "Have you changed anything on my insurance?" She laughed. "Mom, you don't need to worry about that. I've got it all under control." Control. That word rang in my ears like a church bell before a funeral. I wasn't part of this family anymore. I was an old woman being phased out of her own life. But I couldn't just leave. I had nowhere to go. My savings had gone to cover the move. My small pension barely paid for groceries. And Lily had my heart. I couldn't leave her. not knowing what they were doing, not knowing why they were keeping her away from me. So I started writing things down. Dates, times, what I heard, what I saw. The black SUV came back. Twice more. Each time, Elise would whisper on the phone, cradle Lily in her arms, and vanish for hours. Once I followed. I didn't go far, just down the street, far enough to see the car turn toward the edge of town. I asked her later, "Where did you go with Lily?" She blinked. "What? I saw you leave. I just wondered if she was okay." Her smile dropped. "I don't like being spied on, Mom." "I wasn't spying, I was." She raised her hand. "Not to hit, just to stop me." "Don't. You're making this harder than it needs to be." "Harder for who?" That night, I lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening for every creak of the house. And I remembered something my mother used to say. When people lie to your face, they're telling you what they think you want. But when they lie behind your back, they're telling you who they really are. I didn't want to believe Elise was capable of this. But belief doesn't change the truth. The truth was that I had become disposable. And Lily, God help me, was being passed around like a parcel. To whom? Why? I didn't know. But I would find out. Even if it shattered everything I thought I knew about the girl I raised. I started keeping my phone close just in case. Not to call anyone. I didn't know who I'd even call. But the camera that I could use. I wasn't tech savvy, but I knew how to hit record. And I started doing just that. Quietly. Secretly. Every time Elise left with the baby, I'd film the timestamp on the wall clock, the driveway, and the license plate of that black SUV when I could catch it. It made me feel like I still had a grip on something real. But what haunted me more than her secrecy was the baby's absence. Lily. My little Lily. It wasn't just days now, she was gone for a whole week. Elise's answers grew more evasive. She's bonding with her cousins. She's just easier to manage over there. Mom, I need space. Please stop asking. I couldn't bear it anymore. One night, after they'd gone to bed, I snuck into Elise's office. She always locked it, except this time, she forgot. Or maybe she just got too comfortable. Her laptop was open. Emails still loaded. My fingers trembled as I scrolled. At first, it was normal correspondence, appointment reminders, pediatric newsletters, shopping receipts. Then I saw it. Subject: finalizing transfer paperwork for Lily Dorsey. From Virginia Adoption Services. To Elise Harper. Date: 3 weeks ago. My vision blurred. I clicked. They were giving Lily up. No, not giving. Selling. I read it twice to make sure. Elise, once your background check is finalized and your mother's contact is officially removed from the guardianship paperwork, we will complete the last leg of the placement. Thank you again for choosing to move forward with this difficult but compassionate path. Removed. They were removing me. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. My knees buckled and I sat on the floor. Cold. Shaking. Sick. I had raised this girl. I had watched her cry into her pillow when her first boyfriend left. I had worked double shifts to buy her a secondhand flute. I had sat in the front row of her graduation, heart bursting. And now she was giving away her daughter, my granddaughter, while writing me out of the story. She didn't just want me quiet. She wanted me gone. The next morning, I confronted her. I didn't plan to. It just came out like a dam bursting. Elise, where is Lily? Really? I know what you're doing. Her face didn't even twitch. Don't go through my things, Mom. That's a violation of trust. Trust? I whispered. You're selling your own child. You're erasing me. What have I done to deserve this? She sighed like I was a tired child asking for candy again. You don't understand, she said. You think love is enough. But love doesn't raise a child. Stability does. Structure. I'm doing what's best for her. With strangers? With people who can give her what we can't. I felt the burn rise behind my eyes. I would have helped. I would have raised her myself. No, Mom. You would have smothered her. Like you did me. Those words landed like blows. She didn't yell. That was Elise's style, knives with velvet handles. I'm not the villain here, she said. I'm protecting my child. From cycles. From poverty. From the emotional dependency that ruined you. Ruined? I rasped. I needed you to be a mother. You needed me to be your reason to exist. That's not love. She walked out of the room and left me standing there with her judgment echoing in my skull. I sat at the kitchen table for hours. I thought about my life. I thought about all the years I poured myself into being a mother. All the dreams I shelved. All the loneliness I swallowed. And now I was being told it wasn't enough. That it had never been enough. That night, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat, but I could act. I made a decision, not out of revenge, out of instinct. I was not going to let Lily disappear into the hands of people I'd never met. Not without a fight. The next morning, I packed a small bag. My hands didn't shake anymore. I was calm, cold, determined. I waited for Elise and Eric to leave for their appointment. I knew what that meant now. I had one name: Virginia Adoption Services. I took a bus to the local library and used their computer. I found their number, called, pretended to be Elise's assistant, said we needed to delay the finalization due to a family emergency. They bought it. I bought time. Then I looked up the address. It was 2 towns over. I took another bus, and another. By late afternoon, I was there standing in a modest office park, in front of a beige building that looked far too ordinary for what it housed inside. The receptionist looked up. "Can I help you?" I lied. "Yes, I'm here to pick up my granddaughter. Elise Harper sent me." The woman narrowed her eyes. One moment. She disappeared into the back. A different woman came out. Older. Wary. "I'm sorry," she said gently. "We can't release any child without identification and authorization." "I'm Margaret Dorsey," I said. "I'm the child's biological grandmother. Her mother didn't tell you that I live with them? That I raised her?" The woman's face changed. Her mouth opened, but no words came. "She didn't mention that," she finally said. "Then she's lying to you," I said, fire rising in my chest. "And if you finalize anything without due diligence, you are complicit in an illegal transfer. I have pictures, videos, and evidence of what's happening." I pulled out my phone. I didn't know if any of this would work. I just knew I had to try. She took my phone and watched a few clips. Read one of the emails I'd saved. When she looked up, her expression had softened slightly. "Wait here," she said. 10 minutes later, Lily was in my arms. She was heavier than I remembered. Warm. Breathing. Real. I held her so tightly I thought I'd never let go again. But the woman returned, this time with a clipboard. "You need to go," she whispered. "They'll figure out what happened within the hour. And they'll come looking." "Is she in danger?" The woman paused. "Let's just say there are pieces of the story your daughter didn't tell us either. This isn't the first transfer request she's made." I left without another word. I didn't go back to Elise's house. I didn't call. I didn't wait for an apology. I took Lily and ran. To a shelter for grandmothers and guardians in crisis, a place I'd found in the library phone book, 1 town over. They welcomed us. Quietly. No questions. For the first time in weeks, I slept. Really slept. I don't know what Elise has told the world. Maybe that I kidnapped her child. That I lost my mind. That I snapped. But I know the truth. And one day, Lily will too. She'll ask me why. And I'll tell her. Because no one else would stand up for you. Because you were worth saving. Because you are mine. We stayed hidden for weeks. The shelter gave us a room small, but safe. A cot for me. A crib for Lily. The women there didn't pry. Some had stories like mine, others worse. They called it temporary guardianship support. But really, it was a place for the forgotten, the grandmothers, aunts, foster parents who stepped in when no one else would. I filed for emergency custody. It wasn't easy. I didn't have a lawyer. But I had documentation. Evidence. The videos, the emails. I brought them to the county clerk's office myself. Typed my own statements on the shelter's computer. One of the social workers from the shelter helped notarize them. It took 4 court appearances, 2 home visits, and 1 terrifying knock at the door. It was Elise's attorney. Not her, but in the end, the judge granted me temporary physical custody of Lily, pending a full hearing. When I walked out of that courthouse, Lily in my arms, the air felt different. I wasn't free, but I was heard. That night, I sat rocking her under the window as dusk poured in like soft ink. She looked up at me, eyes round and curious. She didn't cry. She didn't fuss. She just watched. "I've got you now," I whispered. I kept repeating it. To her. To myself. We got our own place 2 months later, a government-assisted apartment for guardians raising minors. The walls were bare. The carpets smelled faintly of bleach. But it was ours. Lily took her first steps in that apartment, right between the peeling wallpaper and the radiator. No one else saw it. Just me. And that made it even more precious. She started calling me Nana around 18 months. The first time she said it, I was rinsing dishes. My back was turned. I heard her voice and almost dropped a plate. "Nana." She said it like she'd been waiting to all her life. I turned around and dropped to my knees, crying and laughing at once. She didn't know what she'd done, but she smiled anyway, proud. Sometimes, I'd still get letters from Elise's lawyer, demanding visitation, supervised contact, once, even threatening to have Lily removed again. But by then, I had a real attorney pro bono, bless her heart, and a case file the size of a phone book. Elise didn't stand a chance. The court eventually terminated her parental rights. Not because she was a monster, because she didn't want to be a mother. Not really. And no child deserves to be raised by obligation. Lily and I built a rhythm. She grew like spring after a long winter. She loved strawberries, would eat them by the handful, red juice dripping down her chin. She hated loud noises, would cling to my legs during thunderstorms. She loved music, especially piano. We used to watch YouTube videos together. She'd sit on my lap and try to press the keys on the screen. At age 4, I enrolled her in a local preschool. I was the oldest grandparent there. Some of the other moms smiled politely. Others avoided eye contact altogether. I didn't care. Every time she walked into that classroom, backpack bouncing, I felt like I'd won the lottery. But time is a trickster. It doesn't slow down because you've just started catching your breath. It doesn't care that you still have lullabies to sing and art projects to hang on the fridge. One morning, I woke up and my hands wouldn't stop trembling. I thought it was just fatigue. Then came the dizzy spells, the fog, the forgetfulness. At first, I blamed stress, age, worry. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. The diagnosis came 6 weeks later. Early onset vascular dementia. The doctor was kind, gentle, explained the stages, the care plans, the options. I didn't hear most of it. I just kept thinking, she's only 5. She needs more time. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because of fear, I'd faced fear before, but because of guilt. Guilt that I might not remember her someday. That her face, her laugh, her first, Nana, might vanish into the fog before she even turned 10. I sat in the living room, staring at the wall. And then I did something I never thought I would. I called Elise. She didn't answer. So I left a message. Hi, it's Mom. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I need to talk to you. Not for me. For Lily. She didn't call back that day, but she did the next. Are you dying? She asked. No greeting. No warmth. Not yet, I said. Silence. Then, what do you want? I want to talk, I said. Face to face. She agreed, reluctantly. We met at a public park. Neutral ground. When she saw Lily, her mouth twitched. I couldn't tell if it was sadness or shame. She looks just like you did at that age, I said. Elise didn't respond. She doesn't know who you are, I added gently. But that can change. Elise looked at me, finally. Why now? I told her the truth. About the diagnosis. About the prognosis. About the time we had left a few good years, if I was lucky. I'm not asking you to take her back, I said. I just want you to know her. And for her to know you. In whatever way you're capable. She nodded, slowly. A tear slipped down her cheek. I didn't know how to be a mother, she whispered. I was scared I'd become you. I blinked. Me? You were so wrapped up in us. There wasn't anything else. I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to be empty when she grew up. It hit me then all those years. I thought I was pouring love into my children. But maybe I was also pouring in my loneliness. My desperation not to be left behind. I'm sorry, I said. She looked startled. For what? For being more mother than woman. More caretaker than human. I didn't know how to do both. We sat in silence for a long time. Then Lily ran up, holding a dandelion. Look, she said to Elise. Make a wish. Elise took it. And for the first time, I saw something in her eyes that I hadn't seen in years. Wonder. After that afternoon in the park, Elise began visiting once a week. At first, Lily was shy. She'd cling to my hand or hide behind my coat. But children have a way of seeing beyond history, beyond pain. All they know is presence. And Elise, to her credit, showed up. She read to Lily, brought puzzles, sometimes just sat quietly while Lily colored or told her stories about her preschool class. There were no grand apologies, no dramatic conversations, just a slow unfolding like thawing ground in early spring. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was something. I took photographs, lots of them, of Lily, of the three of us, of every birthday candle, every scraped knee, every laugh. I printed them, wrote dates on the backs, and tucked them into a big leather-bound book I labeled for her, When I Forget. Because I could feel it. The forgetting. It started small. Misplacing keys. missing ingredients in familiar recipes, walking into a room and not knowing why. But then came the day I forgot the name of Lily's preschool teacher, the woman I'd spoken to every morning for months. And the day after that, I left the stove on. That night, I sat with Elise while Lily slept in the next room. "I need to make a plan," I said quietly, "before it's too late." Elise nodded. I already started looking into things. She showed me brochures, legal guardianship documents, options for in-home care for me when the time came. She wasn't pushing me out. She was preparing to step in. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding for 2 years. "I was so scared you'd never forgive me," I said. She looked down at her hands. "I'm not sure I have, but I'm starting to understand you." That was enough. We started living slower, more deliberately. Mornings became sacred. Pancakes on Wednesdays. Story time on the porch. I told Lily everything I could, stories from my childhood, from her mother's, from mine. I told her about dancing in the kitchen barefoot, about losing my sister in a fire and finding hope again in a hospital nursery where Elise was born. I told her that love sometimes hides in broken places. I didn't want her to remember me as sick. I wanted her to remember me as full of love, full of stories, full of fight. But time continued its quiet theft. One morning, I woke up and didn't recognize the apartment. I called for Elise. She wasn't there. Lily was standing in the hallway, holding her stuffed bear, her face pale. I didn't know her name. I didn't know my name. In that moment, that crack in the world only lasted a few minutes, maybe less. But it was long enough to undo me. I started crying. Hard. Ugly. Lily climbed into my lap. She didn't say a word. She just held my face in her hands, like she was memorizing it. That night, Elise moved in with us permanently. She said it was temporary, until things stabilize. But I knew better. I had taught her to stay. And finally, she was staying. Weeks turned into months. Some good, some slippery. On the good days, I felt like myself. On the bad ones, I'd forget words, dates, where the spoons were kept. But Lily never looked at me differently. She just adjusted, gently, without complaint. She once said, "It's okay, Nana. You remembered my heart. That's the most important part." I wrote that down, in big letters, taped it to the fridge. By the time Lily turned 7, she was reading chapter books and playing basic piano. Elise enrolled her in lessons, just like I had dreamed. And I was still here. Some days, more present than others. But still here. I started dictating letters. For later. For the birthdays I might miss. For the heartbreaks I might not see her through. Letters about strength. About softness. About choosing love even when it's hard. And one final letter. The one I wanted Elise to read to her when I was gone. It said this: "My Lily, if you're hearing this, I've already forgotten too much or left altogether. But you should know, you were the brightest light in my darkest season. You were not just my second chance. You were the miracle I never asked for, but was gifted anyway. You are brave. You are kind. You are more loved than you will ever know. You saved me. And even if one day I forget your face, your voice, your laugh, know that somewhere deep inside me, your name echoes forever. I'll always be your Nana. With all the love my heart can hold. Margaret." I gave it to Elise in a sealed envelope. She cried when I handed it to her. Not because I was gone, but because, for the first time, we were completely aligned in love for someone else. We had both broken and rebuilt. For Lily. And that made everything worth it. Now, when I wake up, I sometimes don't know what year it is, or what town I'm in. But I always know Lily. I know the weight of her hand in mine. I know the sound of her singing. I know the way she calls out, "Nana, look," when she learns something new. And maybe, someday soon, I'll forget even that. But she'll remember. She'll remember how fiercely she was loved. And that will be enough. They say there are 2 sides to every story. But when your side begins with failure, no one wants to hear it. My name is Elise Harper. I'm the daughter who gave her baby away. The woman who lied to her mother. The villain in my own mother's story. And for a long time, I believed I deserved that label. But if I'm going to tell you the truth, all of it, I need to start before Lily. Before the baby. Before the adoption paperwork. Before I looked at my mother and saw not safety, but suffocation. I need to start with the day I became a mother the first time. His name was Micah. We were both 22. Stupid. Idealistic. I thought he was my escape from the trailer park, from the long nights of folding laundry and listening to Mom cry in the bathroom. She never thought I noticed. But I did. Micah promised me the world. And when I got pregnant, he promised me he'd step up. He didn't. I lost the baby at 12 weeks. And Micah? He was gone by week 13. I told Mom about the miscarriage. She cried. She held me. She cooked soup for a week straight, as if that could patch the hole in my chest. And I let her believe that was enough. But it wasn't. I carried that grief like a secret tattoo, invisible, but always burning beneath the skin. Years passed. I finished school, became a nurse practitioner, married Eric, dependable, predictable Eric. We were two people who didn't believe in magic anymore, just routine and survival. Then Lily happened. The test turned pink, and I sat on the bathroom floor for 2 hours. I should have felt joy. I should have felt hope. But all I felt was dread. Not because I didn't love the child inside me. Because I knew how much of myself I'd have to lose to love her well. I didn't tell Mom I was pregnant until the second trimester. She cried, of course. She brought out old baby clothes she'd kept in a box labeled just in case. I should have felt comforted. Instead, I felt watched. Mom didn't want to help me raise my child. She wanted a second chance at motherhood. And I couldn't breathe under the weight of her expectations. When Lily was born, I fell apart. Not all at once, but slowly, like softwood eaten from the inside by termites. At first, I blamed exhaustion, postpartum hormones, new mom nerves. But the truth was harder. I didn't want to hold her. I didn't want to feed her. I didn't want to feel anything. I just wanted silence. That terrified me. I told Eric, and he panicked. He called Mom. And suddenly she was there, moving in, unpacking boxes, rearranging the nursery before I could blink. She meant well. She always did. But her help felt like invasion. She followed me, questioned me, insisted on doing everything her way. She wrapped herself around Lily like Ivy, and I, the actual mother, became the outsider in my own home. I started dissociating, sleeping too much, skipping feedings, avoiding eye contact with my own daughter. That's when the caseworker came. A wellness check routine, supposedly. But I told the truth. I said, I'm not okay. I don't want to hurt her, but I can't connect. I need a break. That one sentence set off a domino chain. Suddenly, we were flagged, monitored. And that's when I panicked. I thought, if Mom takes over now, she'll never let go. I'll lose my daughter not to strangers, but to a woman who sees her as her do-over. So yes, I contacted an agency. Yes, I lied to Mom. Yes, I handed Lily to another pair of arms, a trial placement, not permanent, while I tried to figure out who the hell I was. And yes, I told Mom, you'll hold the baby tomorrow. Because I couldn't face her knowing what I had done. Because shame makes cowards of us all. But what I didn't expect was for her to fight back. To run. To become the mother she'd always been: fierce, desperate, determined. To protect Lily from me. And maybe, at the time, she was right. I didn't deserve her. I didn't know how to love her yet. But here's what no one tells you. Sometimes love is something you have to grow into. Sometimes it comes late, after regret, after silence, after the storm. When Mom called me, years later, to say she was sick, I wasn't angry anymore. I was scared. Because even with all our mess, I still needed her. And because I knew Lily would too. Seeing them together that first time after the court battle, Lily holding that dandelion, offering it to me like it was forgiveness itself, that moment undid me. Not because I deserved it, but because I didn't. I started coming every week. Then twice a week. Then, when Mom's memory started fading faster, I moved in. Not out of guilt. Out of clarity. I couldn't fix the past, but I could soften the future. I became the mother I should have been years ago. Not perfect, but present. Lily still calls me Mom now. It used to sting, like a word I hadn't earned. But lately, it feels less like a label and more like a direction, a reminder to keep going, to keep showing up. Mom died a few months after Lily's 8th birthday. She went peacefully, in her sleep, holding Lily's favorite blanket in her arms. I found the memory book under her bed, labeled for her, when I forget. Lily and I sat on the floor for hours turning its pages. She read every word aloud. When she reached the final letter, she looked up at me and said, "She never forgot me, did she?" "No, baby," I whispered. "She never forgot." Now Lily is 10. She plays piano and recitals. She reads more books than I can count. She still asks about Nana almost every day. And I tell her the truth. Not the neat, cleaned-up version. The real truth. That Nana was complicated, stubborn, sometimes overbearing, but also brave. And when no one else did, Nana saw Lily's worth and fought for it with everything she had left. Sometimes, we visit her grave. Lily brings strawberries. She places them gently on the soil, says, "I miss you, Nana," and looks up at the sky like she expects an answer. Maybe she gets one. Maybe that's how legacy works. Not in blood, but in the way we show up for each other even when we're broken. Especially when we're broken. So yes, I was the daughter who said, "You'll hold the baby tomorrow, she's sleeping." And yes, I was the woman who handed her child to someone else. But I am also the woman who came back. And who never left again.